Hello. We're going to talk now about external respiration, also called external gas exchange. Let's begin by defining external respiration. So external respiration is the process where gases, respiratory gases, diffuse across the respiratory membrane. That would be between the alveolar air and pulmonary capillary blood. It's basically defined as the diffusion of gas between the lungs and the blood. Contrast that to internal respiration, which is the diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide between tissues and systemic capillary blood. So what I've taken the liberty of doing for you is drawing an alveolus. I depicted some simple squamous cells that line the membrane that comprises the alveolus. 90% of those cells are type 1 cells. Those are simple squamous cells. Remember that there are the type 2 cells within the alveolus too. There's about 10% of the cells are type 2 cells, and they produce surfactant to reduce the surface tension of water along the alveolar membrane. The other item that I've depicted for you is a pulmonary capillary, and we'll depict the direction of blood flow here of a pulmonary capillary. I'll just draw it going this way. And let's remember that when we look at a pulmonary capillary, the blood that is perfusing the pulmonary capillary is being driven there by the right side of the heart. So we'll draw a heart here. Here's the right side of the heart, and the right side of the heart is going to eject that blood, the right ventricle is, into the pulmonary trunk, into the left and the right pulmonary arteries, and that blood is eventually going to end up in these pulmonary capillaries. This blood, remember, is deoxygenated. It has a partial pressure of oxygen at 40 millimeters of mercury and a partial pressure of carbon dioxide equal to 45 millimeters of mercury. So it is oxygen poor and carbon dioxide rich. Now, if we looked at the partial pressure of gases in the alveolar air, we're going to see a very different situation. The alveolar air has a partial pressure of oxygen equal to 100 millimeters of mercury, much higher than in this deoxygenated blood. And the alveolar air has a partial pressure of carbon dioxide equal to 40 millimeters of mercury, lower than the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in this deoxygenated blood that is entering the pulmonary capillary. And that sets up the gradient that is going to be utilized when gases diffuse down their partial pressure gradients. So very quickly we can see that oxygen is going to move from high to low pressure. In other words, oxygen is going to move in this direction. We'll depict it moving from the alveolar air toward the blood in the pulmonary capillary. And the opposite situation is going to occur for carbon dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide is going to move from the pulmonary capillary blood, where it's under a partial pressure of 45 millimeters of mercury, to the alveolar air, where carbon dioxide is at a partial pressure of 40 millimeters of mercury. And that really defines the process of external respiration. Now, to kind of complete this thought, let's look at the blood that's leaving the pulmonary capillaries and then returning back to the left side of the heart. So let's draw ourselves another heart. Here's the left atrium right here, and blood is going to return back to the left atrium via the pulmonary veins. We'll say the left and the right pulmonary veins are going to return that blood to the left atrium, where it's then going to be ejected by the left ventricle into the systemic circuit. This blood is oxygenated. It's oxygen rich and carbon dioxide poor. In fact, the partial pressures of gases in that oxygen-rich blood completely reflect the partial pressures of gases in the alveolar air. So the partial pressure of oxygen will equal 100 millimeters of mercury, and the partial pressure of carbon dioxide will equal 40 millimeters of mercury. And that really describes the mechanics of external respiration, also called external gas exchange. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.